Hi, this is Vijay from WAS, student ID 1206341. Thank you for taking the time to review my assignment. In this assignment, I'm approaching the problem number 3, in which we are asked to calculate the electricity bill for each residence in a neighborhood. And then in this, we are also inputting the electricity usage for each resident and outputting the total amount of money owed by each resident and the neighborhood as a whole. Here are the different pricing tiers according to the electricity usage. And we're also asked to generate the following reports, which are the monthly report for each resident, quarterly report for each resident, and also the same for the whole neighborhood. So let's get to my code. So this is my code where at first I declared two preprocessing directives, one of which is stdio.h, which I used to use the standard input output functions, and then I'm using the stdlib.h for using the ran function, which randomizes the data. Then we're declaring three different functions, where for the first one is for calculating the bill by taking the usage as an input, and the other two are the quarterly reports for the resident and the neighborhood respectively. So we're getting into the main function. Here I'm declaring the variables and initializing them to 0. First is for the number of residents, and then the bill and the usage. And then I'm declaring three arrays, one of which is the monthly resident array. In this array, I'm using it to store the bills of each month of all the residents. And then here's another array where I'm using it to using it to store the bills of the number of residents of the whole neighborhood for each month. And then again, here's another array where I'm storing the names of the months. So then I'm asking the user to give an input into the number of residents in the neighborhood. Then if they're entering the number of residents, then we're checking if the input is valid or not. Not if it's non-numeric, and if it's a negative value, then we're printing this line where it tells that the value is invalid. And then we're checking if the character was a new line or not, which is never true. So this loop keeps repeating until we receive a positive and numeric value. And then we're after giving the number of residents, we're entering this into this loop where the user is asked to give the electricity usage, provide the electricity usage in kilowatt hour of the month of January for resident number 1, 2, 3, and so on. So then we're again checking if the usage is an input valid or not, valid input or not, and then we're calling the first function, calculate bill, where we're inputting the usage, sending the usage as an input, and calculating bill and storing it in the bill variable. So when we're calling the function, we're going into line of code, this line of code, and here we're multiplying the multipliers, like different pricing multipliers according to the usage. And where were we? Okay, so here, so then we're printing the bill of the resident number 1, 2, 3, so on for January, for the month of January. And then we're printing two lines for the monthly reports. Then we're entering to the, sorry, excuse me. Okay, so then we're entering into another loop where we're looping through this loop for 12 times, and which is representing 12 months of the year, and we're storing the value of the bill of the first month into the first element of the monthly resident, and then again we're again calling the function calculate bill, and this time we're randomizing the usage and sending it as an input. And after it calculates bill, random bill, then we're storing it into this array for the subsequent months after January. And then we're printing this, oh, excuse me. And then we're printing this whole thing as in a tabular form, which gives us the monthly report. And then we're calling the quarterly report function where we're taking the monthly resident array and the number of residents as an input. So in this function, calculating, we're summing up the bills for each month for the first 3 months and then the second 3 months, and then we're printing the quarterly report as well. Again, again we're printing the monthly report of the whole neighborhood. So we're going into this loop, adding bill of each month of all residents into this array called monthly neighborhood. And then we're printing the monthly report in a tabular form. And for quarterly reports, we're calling this function called the neighborhood quarterly reports, where we're taking the monthly neighborhood array as an input. Here, this works the same as the resident quarterly reports. We're generating some loops representing every 3 months to calculate the quarterly reports, and then printing this whole thing. Okay, so let's run my program. Let's see how it works. Oh, give me a sec. It's a little slow. Okay, so if we're prompted to enter the number of residents, let's say first I'm going for invalid input. So if I type in C, then it tells us that the value is invalid, and if I type in -1, it's also invalid. So let's input 3. Number of residents is 3. Okay, so then we're asked to enter the electricity usage. Let's say 350. So here the monthly report is generated, and then the quarterly report is generated for the resident number 1, and we're also printing here the bill of the resident number 1, and then it asks us to give the electricity usage of the resident number 2 for January. Let's say 500. Then it's calculating the bill, monthly report, and also the quarterly report, and then it asks us to provide the electricity for the resident number 3. Let's say 550, and then it also prints the monthly report for the resident number 3 and quarterly reports for resident number 3, and then it gives us the monthly report for the whole neighborhood and the quarterly report for the whole neighborhood as well. So that's it. Thank you.